Idealist? Possibly. Possibly. Very much. Yeah, possibly. Okay, I'm saying possibly and very much. Okay, I stick to one. I think.
You see my hattie if you run, giddy when I pull up on you. Yeah, and me if you act when.
Hi tribe, welcome to this episode of Open Therapy. I think we're at episode 7. That's crazy. Thanks for being here. If you haven't watched last week's episode, please click off. You'll find it. That was a really good one, having to do with relationships with those who've passed on, or does a relationship die once a person dies. So it was a really interesting one, I think, talking about the loss of my mother. In this video, I really want to talk about just how powerful chemistry can be between two people, intense chemistry. I don't know if you felt it. I felt it. And just kind of look at the difference between chemistry and compatibility, The thing with chemistry is feeling that powerful, intense chemistry is amazing, but a lot of the time it can mask significant incompatibilities between two people, which is so unfair. And I'm like, why is life like this, So clearly you can tell that I really thrive on chemistry and energy, and that type of intense feeling is very important in attraction for me. And you feel it, is that energy. So I've had a few instances where it definitely masks my ability to really assess long-term compatibility. I've gotten really better, I think, of being aware of it. Awareness is first, making better choices comes next. Still in the process of, working on step 2, right? So if you've ever been in those trenches of, navigating the initial excitement of intense chemistry versus assessing the long-term compatibility with somebody, stick around. Let's talk about it, besties. Let's talk about it. Keep watching. Chemistry. That's the intense connection or energy that you feel with somebody that you just met. Or I don't know, you guys can give me your opinion, but I feel that's like an instant thing. I don't know if that's chemistry, something that develops over time. I feel like it's just like you either feel it or you don't, but I could be wrong. Maybe that's the type that I've experienced, but maybe chemistry can be built. I'm not sure. Give me your opinion on that. But yeah, so in terms of why it's so powerful, in the reading that I've done, I mean, it actually does something in your body. It releases dopamine. So it actually triggers the release of dopamine, and it's creating like a euphoric state. So especially if you're like in the honeymoon phase of a relationship or a connection, and you feel extremely just euphoric and everything is perfect in the world, from this type of intense, connection that you're feeling with somebody or with a person, it's actually something that's happening in your brain and your body. You're not making it up. So yeah, I just wish that that could just come hand in hand with people that make feel, you know what I mean? But that's just not how it works. So a lot of times you can feel that with people who are just so wrong for you, And when I look back at my relationship history and my past, this has happened. I don't have a lot of relationships, but I do have a lot of connections that I've had with people. And a lot of them have been along the lines of just, this kind of intense, powerful chemistry takeover, hold down. You understand? So Yeah, I've just always kind of found that fascinating. It's so unfortunate that this last relationship is being brought up so much in this series, but it really is kind of my last reference point. So unfortunate for him, he will be brought up until I don't know when. When you look at chemistry versus compatibility, I think what we had was definitely a lot of chemistry. Still do, you know. We're not strangers or in beef, or I've seen him. Um, is that against the rules? Guys, tell me. All right, I need bestie help. Am I not supposed to be in contact? I think I limited my contact for quite some time. He has limited his contact, but he is not doing no contact. If him feel like him hail me, like, and I'm just like, oh, all right. So we're not, which is fine for me because I've also had relationships in the past where they cut off contact completely. Like, see me on the road, walk by me, can't look me in my face, and I just think that's so ridiculous. I've also been there as well, so I can't even pretend like I haven't. Sometimes you just need to reflect and deal with things on your own before you can come back and relate to this person in a normal way. Do I still like his company? Do I still feel intense chemistry? Sure, but that's not enough for me. So I love him, yeah, but it's not love is not enough. I've been in love before, more than once, more than twice. I know what it feels like, and it feels good. But I also know what I'm looking for, and I know what works. And it's just foundational things. These aren't, I'm not asking anybody for no bag of money and for buy my house and carry land. I don't know. I wish I could tell you exactly what these things are so you could understand how foundational they are. But I just can't, just for his privacy, for my privacy, I can't really discuss it, more than these are foundational things like honesty and respect and transparency. That's where I'll leave it at. Yeah, I mean, I think in the end, it really is a balance for both, chemistry and compatibilities, finding a balance, recognizing that both are crucial for long term, lasting relationship success. That's just my feeling. I would like both. Um, but there's some people out there who are okay with just compatibility, perhaps, but I just think that chemistry feels good and energy is something that is yeah, I would like both. So I think they're crucial, the balance of both of them, And time and effort. You have to put in effort to cultivate a lasting relationship. It really requires intention and conscious effort and commitment, Yeah. You know what I found interesting this week? There was a clip from a podcast that I saw on Instagram. Was not on, I don't remember if it was on Instagram or on YouTube, but there was a clip from the podcast, and it was the singer JP Sachs. He's a Canadian singer. The only song that I can think of readily is a song that I really like, and I think it's what's the title of the song? I think it's like, if the world was ending, I want to be next to you. Is it that one? Ooh, this is gonna drive me insane. I have to look it up. Give me one second. Yeah, I think it's called If the World Was Ending. Right, with Julia Michaels. Yeah. So hopefully you guys know that song, but I think it's like just a beautifully written song. I find the concept of that song so interesting. And if he wrote the song, I really should look it up. It would make sense because of the concepts that I'm going to share from what he said in the podcast too. It's kind of like the same type of thinking and mindset, I think. Yeah, so it's kind of just pretty much saying, if the world was ending, you'd come over, right? Meaning, if if this world was ending as we know it, um, you would want to be by me. This is talking about the connection that they have. And because everything else would be irrelevant. These are all the incompatibilities and why they're no longer together. I think it's like it's been a year now. I think that's a line in the song. So all of those things would become irrelevant. All of their fears would become irrelevant. All of the reasons why they shouldn't be together would become irrelevant because the world is ending, and I just want to hold you for the rest of the time that I have. It's this intense emotion of I'm so still so very much in love with you, but still so very much in awareness that we are incompatible and we can't make this work. So that is really the concept of this video. Sorry, I definitely just kicked you. Sorry. It's acknowledging that love isn't enough, you know? It's acknowledging that you can be so intensely in love with somebody and that person not be the right fit for you. And just how hard that is, you know, to miss somebody so much and to want to be around them and just want to carry on when, yeah, there's just so many things that don't work, you know. And there's some people who, whatever, and they stick to it. I love you so much. I'm going based on this energy and this chemistry and this emotion. Um, and I'm going to, you know, forfeit whatever my brain is telling me and just stick to what my heart is saying, you know, or the other way around. I don't know which one you kind of attach to chemistry or compatibility, you know, and I'll just deal with it. And there are people like me, I guess, who can't do that, you know. I'm not under the. Am I an idealist? Possibly, possibly. Very much. Yeah, possibly. Okay, I'm saying possibly and very much. Okay, I stick to one. I think I am. Based on my personality type. If you look at the MBTI personality types, I am an INFP. I think at one point I took it and it told me INFJ, but I think for the most part, I'm an INFP. And I think when I was talking to my therapist as well, just her interaction and knowledge of the different types, she's like, yeah, you're definitely more on an INFP side than INFJ. um, and INFPs are idealists. So, sure. And this could be a very significant part of why I am single. Um, and I'm aware of that. But I'm also not really expecting a relationship to be perfect. But I'm also just not in agreement with sitting in something just for the hell of it, you know, just for sitting in something's sake. You know, it has to make sense to me. It has to have a greater goal, a greater vision. Um, and I have to feel like we're in sync. I have to feel like we're understanding of each other. Um, I have to feel considered, and I have to feel like this is an honest and true partnership through life, and that's a lot to ask for. Um, so it's kind of also why I'm just like, well, maybe I won't ever find it, and you know, it's been some years now where I'm just like, well, am I okay with that? And I think I'm okay with that. I think I'm okay with standing in that. Is it something I want? Absolutely, you know. But I don't just want it for the hell of it. I want it in a particular way, and Yeah, we'll see. Stick around, besties. I don't know how long this channel will be around, or it'll be up, but maybe I'll find it and maybe we can talk about it, or maybe you can see me on my journey of looking for it, you know? Right. So the interesting thing that JP Sachs spoke about, he also just kind of premised his statements with his belief that being deeply in love just isn't enough. And I'm 100% lived through that, been in love more than once, more than twice. It's not, you know, and he's kind of figured out that if relationships don't have three particular things, they don't seem to make it. And I just loved how he grouped or these three different categories. I'm completely in agreement with, and I just thought it was interesting and I really wanted to share it with you guys this week. So these are the three things that he says a relationship needs to, or the relationships that he has seen that are successful all have these three things. One, do I truly love who this person is as an individual outside of our relationship or connection? Do I like who they are? Do I like them? You know, um, so important. Two, do I love how they love me, how they show up for me, how they support me, and care for me? Do they make me feel good? Do I love how they love me? And three, do I believe in the life that they're building? So important. And do I want to build with them? Also important. That's the shared vision, shared goals, um, and the you know, yeah. So those three things are, that's it. That's it. And then when I put like my relationship history through those three filters, the reflection was intense and significant. So if I group my most significant relationships, so I'll say three. Um, the first, cheese. Um, I would say okay, maybe two. Maybe I love the way that they showed up for me and cared for me. Yeah. Um, and then there was another significant relationship where I had two out of the three. So that one was pretty close, where I did admire them as an individual and just who they are and how they loved me and showed up for me. I did feel loved, you know. But in terms of believing in the life that they're building and wanting to build it with them, that's actually what I told somebody. I was just like, I don't know if I see us past 10 years. This is when we just started too. I've known him longer than 10 years at this point. But I just remember having this feeling, I don't know if I can see this go past 10 years. And I don't know why 10 years was in my head, but it just felt like this could be a stretch and I could love him and he could love me for a good stretch. But I don't feel like this is my life partner. Um, and I think a lot of that had to do with our conversations about what he wanted to do with his life and um, goals that he had for himself. And while these were admirable and respectable things, these weren't my goals and aspirations for my life, you know, and I just don't think they ever would have been, you know, and there's nothing wrong with that. I hope that he achieves those and I hope that he finds a partner who can build that with him. And that's really what it should be, you know. And then in the third relationship, I feel like, um, yeah, in terms of we may have had two out of the three, but it's possibly one, number two for sure. Loving him and loving how he loved me and, you know, showed up for me and supported and cared for me for sure. That seems to be a trend. That's what has kept me in the relationship, right? But in terms of, do I believe in the life they're building? there was just too much being hidden from me. There wasn't enough transparency or honesty for me to really see the life they're building. I'm not sure if I trusted what he was saying to me. I couldn't see a future. It was too blurry. And I can't buy into and commit to you if I don't know what I'm buying into, you know what I mean? So yeah, number three was out. And do I love this person as an individual? Also blurry. I loved what I knew of him, but there was just so much I didn't know, you know, and there was just so much that we needed to experience as a couple together outside in the world for you to really learn these things about the person. And the relationship did not have the opportunity to thrive outside in the world. Yeah. But I just think these three things are so well packaged. And I'm just fascinated with how well packaged those are and how true that has rung for me in my relationship history and how true that rings for me in what I'm looking for. You know, it's packaged really simply. You know, some people say, "Oh, I'm too complex," and "Oh, your standards too high." Oh, no, it's packaged really simply here, and I don't think that's asking for too much, and you shouldn't think so either, right? So, yeah, boy, chemistry in the early stages of relationship, it almost creates like a blind optimism. Like you can't see no red flag. You're just going through. You know, it kind of overshadows the core incompatibilities that come from like differences in beliefs and differences in values. Because you just feel this strong attraction and connection to the person, you know. I think this relationship didn't get a chance to kind of move to the level beyond that spark or that chemistry, you know, where you know where the communication is completely open, where you're now building a strong foundation beyond the initial attraction and energy. You know, I don't think we graduated to that level, you know. I've been trying to get him to just do some reflection as well, you know, about his needs and whether they were met, you know, by me. And as I reflect on my needs that weren't met and that some that were, you know, and our different boundaries, right? So boundaries were also a thing. What I felt he was being secretive may have been his boundaries for privacy, and maybe he needed blind faith and trust, and I need transparency and I need to see and buy in and understand what you're doing. That's just how I work, you know? So we had different boundaries for that type of thing, for privacy and transparency and sharing. But it's also important to kind of pay attention to, you know, how your partner is acting when they're outside of this strong chemistry feeling. You have to observe the patterns and inconsistencies that exist outside of the intense chemistry feeling when they're right in front of you. And that's what was really, really difficult for me, or has been really difficult for me. You know, it really takes like intentional work and effort to kind of observe that when that kind of initial attraction and energy is so strong, you know. And getting perspective from your friends and family is key. I'll ask people directly. I'll tell them things that just don't seem right to me and be like, yo, that does seem right? And they're like, no. And I'm like, okay. And that is comforting and regulating my nervous system. That helps to regulate me a little when I think I'm going crazy, you know. And they're just like, you're not going crazy. That's completely unacceptable and complete bullshit, right? So that's good and that's needed. And sometimes there are people who have just been like, give it time, be patient. Maybe he was trying this, maybe he was trying that. I also got that kind of feedback, you know, and that was also good. Um, but it's like, no, sometimes I just kind of have to feel it through on my own. And people in my life know that they're just going to have to trust me, you know. I'm sure there are people close to me who'd be like, "What do you mean you still talk to him? You still see him?" Yeah. But you just have to trust them and know myself and I know what I'm doing, you know. And if you ever see me walking arm in arm with somebody, you have to trust that we've had the conversations that we need to have. Um, and there has been some sort of shift because you know what I stand for, and what I'm looking for, and what I want, you know. And you should know that I'm not going to sit in or settle for anything less. So, yeah, we're all on this journey. Maybe a lot of you have already found your lasting love or your final love, which is amazing. Um, Maybe some of you who are out just coming out of relationships and find this type of reflection helpful, you know, and maybe these three things that we spoke about earlier, you can kind of put your relationships, relationship history through those little filters and see what went wrong in each of them. It was helpful for me because it simplifies it. You know, it's not as complex as we make it out to be. You need these are simple and they're foundational, right? And then there are people who are like me who are just on the journey of getting it right. And yeah, I hope that this conversation helped. So I think I'll leave it with those things: the balance of both chemistry and compatibility, and cultivation through conscious effort, commitment, and intention. Thanks for sticking around if you stuck around this long. And I will see you next week, Thursday, with episode 8 of Open Therapy. Be safe, guys. See you soon, Tribe.